What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Honestly, I'm Fine. I am joined by Michael Navarro. As it turns out, you guys really like him. I get it's like 100% more followers, more listens when you are on the show. Don't ask me why. I think what they're looking for, honestly, is conflict. So when they see ex-husband is here, they're like, shit, we gotta listen. I hate to introduce you as my ex-husband, but ex-husband is so much better for publicity. Like, it just does wonders for ratings.
Just put ex-husband in the title.
Your channel?
No.
Okay. So today we're doing something totally different because apparently the comments of my posts and my social media have become a pretty hot topic. I would call them more like a shared hobby of sorts. Before I even get to looking at the comments, especially on YouTube lately, I would say YouTube has gotten pretty hot for some nasty shit. But Michael has usually already read them. Before I get to them, Michael has almost always read them before I got there.
Yeah, because they're pissing me off. People are pissing me off.
So he'll send me a screenshot and he'll call me up and say, hey, have you seen what they're mad about today? And so the comment section has really become more of like a daily neighborhood watch project.
Yeah, or a mental health watch project, basically.
Are you worried about me?
A little bit, yeah. Like, of course, the internet's notorious for being trolls, but it's not like a big shock to me, and it shouldn't be to you either.
I'm getting much better at accepting the shitty things that people say. It's pretty wild, though, like, and how bold they get.
Right, but the thing is, for me, is like, it's a sensitive subject. It's our son. It's not like we're putting music up or something, some form of entertainment. This is our lives.
I think that the problem is that my way of...
Hey, start over. You cut me off again.
Well, I thought you were done. You paused.
Okay, you want conflict? We got conflict. God damn it.
You say you said that we're not posting entertainment.
Right.
How do I handle things when I'm uncomfortable?
Laugh.
I make jokes.
Yeah.
Really inappropriate ones that actually make you uncomfortable a lot of the times. So it's hard for people, I think, to distinguish whether I'm trying to be entertaining or realizing that that's just how she handles her grief.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So
it actually pisses me off about you.
I don't know how else to cope with it. So, I mean, that's no different than me saying I hate that you don't talk about it. I mean, there's different ways of handling grief, and that's kind of something that I've been addressing in my posts, is that we all handle this stuff differently. And not just grief, like any hard trial or tribulation that you go through in life. People have different ways of handling these things.
I have an avoidant personality, as you might know.
I can't help it that everything I talk about comes out funny. I think I even cracked jokes at the funeral, at the service. And it wasn't intentional. That's what comes out when I'm uncomfortable. Tim's our daughter with Zuma. She's really a deflect with humor kind of person.
I didn't go to the funeral.
That tells you a lot about how we handle things differently.
There's patterns.
And that's really something that was important to address before we even get into the comments, is that everybody handles shit differently. And that's why these comments can be so infuriating for me, is because they're judging what they think is entertainment, that I'm just playing it up. And that's really just a thought that comes to mind when I think about how sad I am sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good segue, because same thing with the people in the comments. I mean, they may be handling things differently. A lot of these people actually lost kids.
And I think that's part of what upset you too, right? It's like they're a bereaved parent, and then they have the audacity to tell me how to process. Was that?
Yeah.
If I understood that correctly.
Yeah, for me personally, I mean, I don't think it needs that much weight. Like, I don't really think you should put that much weight into what I think so much, but...
I don't know where that came from. I don't.
I just feel that way. But this one particular guy that Miley...
Hey, can we pull up the comment real quick?
Yeah. Let's pull up Greg. Let's start with Greg. I think it was Instagram.
I don't think so. It was Facebook.
Facebook.
Mm-hmm. What's up, buddy?
We're trying to find it.
Would you like me to help you?
You're asking me questions at the same time.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Greg wrote, I lost my son and daughter at 19 years old, and I still live every day with there. You seem to be fine with it. And my original post was that my daughter has been asking me recently, what do you want to be buried with? Do you want to be buried or cremated? And I'm like, no, dude, absolutely just cremate me, okay? Because then you can take me everywhere you go. Well, the joke was, and yes, I was making a joke, I went and grabbed a mug out of the kitchen cupboard. I was like, just put me in a mug, because our daughter notoriously loses everything. She can't keep the most sacred things without misplacing them. So it was a joke. I was like, just cremate me and put me in a mug. You're just going to lose me anyways. Don't waste your money on an urn, because honestly, their urns are expensive. That was the joke. And so Greg wrote, I lost my son and daughter at 19. Now, I don't know if that means he was 19 and his son and daughter died when he was 19, and I still live with their death every day. You seem to be fine with it. Or if his children were 19. I don't know. It's hard to tell. He also spelled their There. So, I mean, Greg's credibility is already shot, in my opinion. I wouldn't have looked at the comment twice if Michael hadn't pointed it out to me. And I do see in my comments that my friends and family on Facebook were already right on top of it. Like I said, Community Watch Project. So, why did it upset you?
I was fine with it. He can explain himself. Like, this is a thing that I have a problem with all people is like, everything that you said up until you must be fine with it, I was good with. But why, Greg? Why insert that you must be fine with it? She's obviously not fine with it. It's been post after post for 2 years now of nonstop trying to come to terms with this situation. And what did you get? One post? And you're going to say you must be fine with it? Is that what you read? Are you following her? Do you really have any idea what she's going through? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
And do we have any idea what any person is going through at any given moment? We don't know if it was the anniversary of his kid's death that day. Maybe that's why he posted it. And so I'm constantly trying to explain away why people are the way they are. And there are other comments that upset me far more than this. This one was just, that was a stupid thing to say, coming from obviously somebody who's, whipping off on the fly.
Yeah, you must be fine with it. That's crazy. I mean, I would never say that to somebody in their face. Like that's an internet thing to say. Like, could Greg look you in your eyes and say, you must be fine with it?
I don't know, but let's invite Greg to FaceTime and tell me I'm fine with it.
I would not like to talk to Greg. I would not like to talk to Greg. I don't even know how Greg was allowed in the comments.
Because my stuff is set to public. YouTube's got some bangers. Oh, here's a good one. There was a follow-up to what Greg said. I'm up 8 subscribers, so whatever I was saying worked. Oh, here's one. Okay. On a follow-up to Greg's post, I posted something about me breaking the rules of grief. And one of the comments by Sinful Paradise 29, that's a stupid name. This person's comment says, crying and complaining on the internet only works if you need a GoFundMe. Yeah. Prayer and therapy will never judge you like the internet. Mm-hmm. How do we feel about that comment? You had a problem with that.
Yes.
And why?
Because you're doing prayer, you're doing therapy, and you're also on the internet. So she doesn't know anything about you. It's comment after comment where people feel like they can inject themselves in and they're making a point. I don't know what compels people to make these points. Like I said, I know the internet is a troll central. I know that's what it is. It still bothers me that in our society we hide behind our keyboards and we hide behind our cameras. Like even now, right? Back in the day, we used to have this conversation in public. People would have conversations. Groups of people would have conversations. Nowadays, we turn on our phones and we sit behind them with nobody else in the room. And we communicate to people and there's no responsibility or no accountability to the other side on either parts. So it allows this disconnect to happen and it allows people to go into protected mode where you can't slap the shit out of this person.
Well, my therapist is going to be devastated to find out that she's being replaced by the comment section. I mean, that's just going to wipe out therapists across the planet because the comment section can handle it just fine. I didn't know that I had to schedule like GoFundMe whining on Monday. I'm going to schedule prayer on Tuesday, therapy Wednesday, and then I can repeat the cycle. I don't know what people are looking. I don't even know what that comment means, honestly.
I understand what she's saying, I think, is that she's saying prayer and therapy should be your outlet. Being on the internet and talking about it should not.
Unless I'm asking for money. Is that what that means? Because I'm also doing that. And I'm not laughing about it because it's funny, but I mean, when your kid dies, I don't know if people get this, it costs money. More money than a lot of people have. So when Kingston passed away and I had to go pick up his remains, I was handed him in a clear plastic bag with a silver metal tag attached to it. I could not afford an urn, and somebody had to buy it for us because we did not have the money. And that's not for lack of trying, but you were working.
I mean, 7 years of cancer. 7 years of cancer. So if you can conceptualize being in the hospital for that long, people don't grasp the gravity. And I have these conversations with close people in my life all the time. They do not grasp the gravity of how much it took and how much energy and effort it took to take care of Kingston for 7 years.
And a live child who was trying to have somewhat of a normal childhood as well.
Yeah.
And we had to juggle both.
You know what's interesting is I had this thought come to my head last night when we were scooting to the beach with Zuma.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, if Kingston were still here, we would never be able to scoot to the beach like this. And it's a conflicting thought, right?
Yeah.
The point is, if you can't even go on a little scooter ride, how the hell are you supposed to maintain a career or push a career forward to be able to pay these crazy prices?
I mean, I have bills from the hospital for more than $500,000.
Yeah.
My debt is more than $500,000 to the hospital alone. And
I'm in debt to other people. I'm in debt to the government. I'm in debt to the hospitals. I'm in debt to corporations. And people reflect that on your character. And I think that's why I'm taking so much time to explain this, is people put that on your character. And it's like,
we didn't choose this. That's the difference. If we were just out here borrowing money and our kids were healthy and we didn't pay you back, we're pieces of shit. That I get.
yeah.
But we did not choose this life. We did not choose to owe everybody money. We did not choose to have a kid who was sick. We did not choose this life where we couldn't financially sustain ourselves. Because before Kingston got sick, we made things work. We always found a way to figure things out. I worked for Microsoft. You owned your own business. Like, we were not losers the way that people kind of, and I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings, but people kind of think that we are losers, like second-rate citizens, because there's so much debt and the inability to, we owe $1,500. And they're like, why can't you just pay $1,500 and pay me off? Bro, I owe everyone $1,500. I still have to pay rent to keep a roof over our heads, whether I owe everybody money or not. There is a priority. What's the word I'm looking for? Like an order of operations. House has to stay number one first. And I've already, while you and me were separated, was evicted twice. Mm-hmm. And I can't keep doing that. Like, that's not fair to the living child. Mm-hmm. So people get put on the back burner and they're like, how could you? So what, you want me to be homeless instead? I don't want to sit here and defend myself. I wanted this to be silly and make fun of the comments, but obviously there's some things that needed to be flushed out there before we could do that.
Yeah, I think we could throw a joke or two in.
We're the joke, Mike. Haven't you noticed that we're the joke?
It does hurt my feelings when you say, I don't want you to get your feelings hurt, but it does hurt my feelings. And just the whole thing is very upsetting.
There's a lot of judgment
There's a lot of
based
judgment.
on what we went through without considering what we went through. And I think a lot of bereaved parents would agree that happens to them.
Yeah.
Would say that this is a similar situation to a lot of bereaved parents, just because I'm one of the few people who get out here and will say how it is about how money is so tight and finding a job is so hard. I'm not the only one struggling with it. I'm just one of the few people saying it out loud.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And there's a reason people don't say it out loud, because there's a lot of fucking judgment that comes with telling your truth. And the truth is that cancer costs a lot of money. It breaks you down as a mother to lose your child. It breaks you down as a father, as a person in general, to know that you weren't able to save somebody you cared about so much that you aren't able to put a roof over the heads of the people that you're in charge of. That's devastating to any person, any parent, regardless if it's cancer or whatever, like mental health stuff people come upon. Life is hard. And I'm one of the few people who will say it on the internet, like, this shit sucks. Because I do say all that stuff out loud, everybody has an opinion about it, but I'm not the only person going through it. You're not the only person going through it.
No,
It's
not
real
at all.
life. There's lots of people out there just like us. And I think it needs to be talked about more, because it's become very taboo to talk about your problems. But if we're going to talk about all this stuff on the internet, about politicians and whatever, why can't we talk about our real life and the real problems that are happening to real people every day? And you're probably living next door to somebody who is struggling in a similar situation, not necessarily from cancer, but having lost a job or something tragic happens in their lives and they fall behind. And mental health does not discriminate, and it can sneak up on anyone, and you won't even know somebody's suffering because they don't want to be judged, so they don't tell anybody.
Or they're completely removed from everyday life. A lot of these people are living in the foundations. How many years in the hospital did we spend?
I don't know.
4 or 5, I think. 4 or 5 full-time living in the hospital. We got to know other families.
I feel like that's a stretch. 4 or 5. I mean, no, living full time.
Okay, we were 3.
Yeah, maybe 2 total. Like,
2 or
gosh,
3.
if I were to calculate the amount of time spent in the hospital, it's probably cumulative, like 3 years of my life, 2 years of my life.
You're talking about being there from sun up to sundown, but there was times where Kingston was in the hospital. Every day he would have an appointment. Even though we were living at home, we would go home to sleep.
And then have to be back on the next
Yeah,
day.
maybe we weren't living in the hospital.
And then if you
but
include
it felt like it.
if you include therapy too, because
Yeah.
we would spend 5 hours a day
Rehabilitating you.
in rehab. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not doing this to talk to the people who are judging me or judging Miley or nothing like that. It's to educate. I personally want to be a voice for people that are struggling to meet their bills and struggling to do it everyday life and feel like part of normal society. It's not possible, and you shouldn't have to feel like you have to do that. That's why there's foundations set up to help you. You shouldn't feel guilty about it. You shouldn't feel guilty about taking help.
What I want to do is educate the people who have no idea what this is like. Like, that's the whole point of a lot of the stuff that I put out, is to educate people. There's this thing called a resting life that my other bereaved mom friends talk about. And it's like, they have this life. It's crazy. There are some people who just never experience trauma the way that we have. There are people who will never really go through something really bad. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but the point of the stuff that I put out, it may sound like a joke to some people, but really what I'm doing is letting the people who aren't in it know, like, this is where I'm at, and this is the shit that I'm dealing with today. And so for everybody who's sitting there at their cushy little job and they're just scrolling because they're bored, that's for you guys to know that life is actually really fucking hard for some of us out here. And when you're going on and on about your little vacations, it's tough to listen to. And I just feel like there needs to be some education to those people that want to insert their voices and tell us, like, you're grieving wrong or you look fine. And it's because we're just trying to survive it. And you don't know the ins and outs of what we've been through. Before Kingston got cancer, I lost my grandma to cancer. But when she got diagnosed, I remember telling my mom so insensitively, she'll be fine. She's going to be fine. You just got to believe she's going to be okay. In hindsight, having gone through it, what a fucking shitty thing for me to say. And so my ignorance and my lack of experience made me desensitized to it. And what I want to do with the things that I share and the stories that I tell and the posts that I post is to invite people into some of that everyday life that we are experiencing so that they can have more compassion than I did, say, for my mom in the situation she was going through. So I'm not doing it to be whiny. I'm not doing it to collect money. I'm not doing it because I don't experience joy. And actually, the reason that Greg was so upset in his comment is because I seem to be experiencing joy for 2.2 seconds out of the last 2 years, and it bothered him. So I just feel like if we all had a little bit more understanding and a little bit more compassion and education, then we can better show up for one another, is really what I'm trying to say.
And we also learned how to experience joy when things were really bad for 5 to 7 years.
Actually, I just wrote an episode that I was going to do solo, but there was a part in that where I wrote down a story about at the end where Kingston was real sick and real thin, and he wanted to take a bath. And I had a hard time looking at him because he was so frail and so thin that I covered all the mirrors with blankets in the house because I didn't want him to see himself, because I wanted him to just live out the rest of his days not caring, I guess. So I covered the mirrors and everything, and I put him in the bathtub, and I just remember how skinny he was. It was a couple days before his 10th birthday, about a week before, and I took a hand towel and I covered him, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And he was mad at me. And I was like, "Bro, you're about to be a man. I don't need to see the man parts, right?" And I had to make a joke about it in that moment, and he's like, "I got to put some meat on my bones." And I was like, "Bro, models would kill for that body. We don't need you. You don't need to eat. You need an agent." And we just tried to make those jokes in that moment to make the worst thing ever somewhat bearable. I remember him laughing, his little laugh. So when you talk about finding joy, I know you weren't talking about that.
No,
but I'm
that's perfect.
talking about the absolute worst case scenario and make a joke out of it, because how else are you going to get through it without breaking down and crying? And that's the last thing I wanted for him and for Zuma. And honestly, for me,
That was very deep. First of all, covering up all the mirrors so you don't see your actual self in order to be able to enjoy life. That's very, very deep.
life is hard
Life is hard, and sometimes you have to cover up the reality
to get through it.
to get through it.
without wanting to die yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if you just sit there and stare at yourself and look at how
All the
bad-
mistakes or the gaps or the unfinished work or the goals you haven't achieved, that there's a lot of stuff we can do to pick ourselves apart.
Yeah. And then the other part was belief that things were going to be okay when that they're not. And
I think the word for that is faith. Can I pick another comment?
sure.
Okay, so I am sensitive. I don't like it when people talk shit about me, okay? I actually think, can I just call her out a little bit without saying her name?
Sure.
So there's this one mom who absolutely cannot stand me. She hates me. I think she creates multiple accounts every time I block her because this person always wants to go in on the fact that Zuma's still in cheer. And there was a comment on one of Kingston's videos, I deleted it, but she put that I was trying to make my daughter the center of attention and that I was overcompensating for me not being good enough to save my son. And so now I'm overdoing it with trying to make Zuma like the center of attention on the cheer team, and she made it about cheer. She sounded like such a wretched bitch. Like, am I allowed to say those words? I'm gonna publish this.
But just bleep out. We're going to call her a bitch.
But that's one of the cool comments I get. I don't even know what to say to that.
Well, I think that there's a few things I would say to it. First of all, weaponizing people's grief.
Yeah, that's what she did. She would
It's wild.
totally weaponize my grief.
That's
like
wild.
She said that I use our grief as an excuse to be bitchy and pushy to other people.
Right. And so what was her example of being bitchy and pushy towards other people?
Her daughter was not being very nice in front
yeah.
of me to Zuma. And so I had brought it up. Like, I don't really think that they're vibing is what my words were. I was like, I don't think that your daughter's happy when she's around mine. I don't know what to do about it because I keep trying, but she's just not happy when she's with us. And she's kind of hard on my daughter. And I don't know what to do. And then she played it off like, oh, it's no big deal. And then started a whole group chat about how I call everyone a bully. And that everybody's bullying Zuma, that Zuma's the victim, and that really I'm just this pushy bitch and create this victim mentality for me and Zuma.
I'm listening.
Oh, that's it. You asked for the example.
I heard you.
And you agree with her?
No, I don't agree with
Okay, because I'm just waiting for you to like say what you had to say about it.
I mean, it's so left field that what do I even say to that? Like, that's not even remotely true.
Okay, and that leads me into the next one. This one actually almost went viral on YouTube. And you gave me shit for even posting this because you said I shouldn't be talking shit about 10-year-olds. They were 8, by the way, not 10. But in Zuma's 2nd grade class, there was a kid that had said to Zuma, you get everything you want because your brother died. Because she was allowed to use the first hook to hang your backpack on. Because she was at school on time that day, so she was allowed to use the first hook because the hooks were first come, first serve. And this kid told Zuma, and Zuma brings it up all the time, and this we're talking 3 years later now, brings it up all the time that this person had told her that she gets whatever she wants because Kingston died. I posted a video about it and I caught so much shit for calling out little kids. And they said that my daughter should have to earn things. I shouldn't think that she's entitled to them because Kingston died. So basically they were, in essence, saying the same thing that this kid said. Mm-hmm. My daughter was on time to school that day. She gets to use the hook. She was there first. Mm-hmm. Too sad, so sad for the other kid. But when they start going in on because your brother died, where does that even come from? There was some time in the very beginning when he first passed, it's like, we're going to give Miley and her daughter a pass for a little bit, right? Like, they expect you to do weird things. They expect you to have emotional breakdowns and lash out. Mm-hmm. And then there's a period where it's no longer socially acceptable for your grief to be the reason that you're having problems. But what I think people don't realize is that grief will affect you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And yes, we are supposed to learn how to not let it affect us in a way that disrupts daily living for other people, I guess. But there will still be days where we don't even realize that it is our grief that is triggering a freak out or a breakdown or a crying spell. Like, you don't know that's what it is.
Or isolation.
Yeah. And you don't realize that that's what triggered it in the first place. There was an episode I did last year where I talked about inviting a bunch of people from the cheer team to Zuma's birthday party, and then another party got scheduled on the same day as if Zuma's party didn't exist. I was really hurt by that because he had just passed the year before. It was the first year I didn't have to worry about Kingston's birthday party first. I was like, wow, you really booked a party over a party. I was upset. And they thought that I just full on freaked out for no reason. But what had happened was one thing after another kept happening. It wasn't about the party. It was an accumulation of people forgetting that her birthday was coming or that Kingston's birthday just passed. And it wasn't about the party at all. It was about the feeling of being forgotten and left behind and not included. And that somehow her birth wasn't important. It's not always about the one thing that you think that we're freaking out about. We're not using it to be a victim. It's the straw that broke the camel's back, I think, is what I'm looking for.
It's weird to me that people inject their opinions so much into our lives.
I mean, some people would say that I created this situation to have people give me their opinions. And
That doesn't make sense to me.
by putting my stuff on the internet, I'm opening myself up to trolls.
I'm talking about the people in our direct lives you're talking about, like Zoomless circles, Zoomless. I don't know anything about their lives. I don't.
Yeah, me either.
I have nothing.
I'm like the most open book ever, and I feel like everybody else just kind of keeps all their stuff to themselves. I don't know if that's like a South Bay thing, like where we live, that people do that, because I feel like in Seattle, I knew everybody's business.
I don't know anybody's business. I don't want to know anybody's business. If people were to share, that'd be great. But I don't know anything about what's going on. I don't even have anything to weaponize.
No, I do. I have a little bit of dirt on people, but it's not like. But no, I would never do that.
When you say dirt, though,
like I have some things.
But I'm not talking about dirt. I'm talking about Kingston passing away. That's not dirt.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, that is something that happened to us. Like you said, that was outside of our control. You're talking about something that people make decisions to go out and do.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So I don't know anything about these people's lives that happened to them at all. I'm just saying.
They don't post it on the internet. They tell me in confidence. They're not putting it on the internet the way I did with Kingston's illness.
Right.
And so that's why people say that I put myself out there to be subjected to comments and judgment.
Okay, but that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense to me. You're putting your experience with Kingston's cancer, because it has a magnitude, affects multiple people. There's many layers to this situation that we went through for 7 years. What possible thing could they have that would warrant going out and talking about it on the internet like that? Do they have any experience of that magnitude?
I don't know what you're talking about anymore. You kind of lost me. I'm sorry.
You said it's your fault because you put yourself
No,
out there.
they're saying it's my fault.
They said that it's your fault because you're putting yourself out there on the internet. They come to you in confidence and tell you things that are in private, and so that's how they deal with their situation.
Right.
Right. It doesn't have the effect or the magnitude. It's not the same. You can't compare the two.
Well, I mean, I would. That's silly. But there are people who do those comparisons, and then that's when it becomes like, oh, Miley put herself out there on purpose. Miley opened herself up to this, so it's your fault if people call you a bitch. The reason that I even do any of this, why I started a podcast, because brain cancer is the #1 killer of children when it comes to disease. It is second behind car accidents for killing children, because there's not enough research. There's not treatments that have been updated since the 70s. Most of the treatments are for adults in the first place. There is no legislature that has passed that's been brought to legislation to support caregivers. There's insurance rules that make it impossible to actually live after being saved or put in remission. And these kids will never live. They'll barely survive. And then they want to fundraise in these big organizations to save the kids, and they're not actually doing that. And so really the reason that I do this is to bring awareness to what people actually go through. And if people take that as me monetizing my grief or trying to exploit my child's death, they're getting it all wrong. And that's a weird direction to go. And I'll never understand why people don't hear what I'm actually trying to say. But if everyone took their experience and could find where the gaps are, and we all work to fill the gaps, what a better place we would be living in. I mean, there would be no need for GoFundMes if we just took care of our caregivers who were helping sick children. Does that make sense? And if we had a government and a system that was invested in finding a cure for some of these diseases, some of it wouldn't even have to happen at all. I don't know how much of this is actually like usable at this point.
But it felt good.
Let's find another stupid comment. Here's this one. This one was a good one. I think I actually deleted them. Shoot.
Why are you doing that?
Doing what?
Deleting people?
Because I was upset and it really offended me.
Oh.
I learned that when you delete even hate comments, you're making a big mistake because the algorithm actually punishes you. So if you didn't know that, don't do it. Because all engagement counts as engagement, even if it's a hate comment. So I'm learning to live with the mean things in my face because it sparks conversation. But one of the things I said was nothing says awkward like somebody laughing at your grief. So I had posted something about being at Target and somebody came up to me and what'd she say? She said, "Oh my gosh, how's Kingston? How's he doing?" And I was like, "Dead." Because that's just what came out. That was the answer. And I posted that because she didn't even know what to say. She was just like mortified. But I was really just giving her the honest answer. One of the reactions to that post was that I did that to her on purpose to be a bitch, or that I should have come up with a more tactful way to tell her that Kingston had passed away. But when somebody you haven't seen in 3 years comes up to you and says, "How's your kid?" without knowing they're dead, like, "How's Kingston?" Like, he's right behind me in the shopping cart. My immediate answer was dead. It's what Zuma does when people ask, "What's your brother's name?" "Kingston." "Where's he at?" "Dead." Like, that's just the answer that comes out. Somebody wanted me to buffer it for the person I was talking to, and they were very upset and thought that I was very diabolical in the way that I delivered my answer, and that was intentionally crude of me.
Crazy. That's all I can say. There's no...
I didn't know that I had to bubble wrap the answer for them. Imagine me having to answer that question after just coming from the car crying about him. Like, I don't know. It's interesting to me.
If you're just taking the situation literally, how's Kingston? What do you mean? Like, how are you supposed to answer that?
I said he's
How
dead.
do you lightly tell somebody they're dead?
Apparently I was supposed to say, "Gosh, maybe you didn't know. I'm so sorry to tell you, but Kingston passed away." That was the suggestion I was given, that I should have been.
Well, why didn't she say, "I'm so sorry to ask and I don't know"?
Exactly. There you go. See, there's two sides.
Yeah.
And that's the response to that one. So before we wrap this up, I just want to say one thing. We can laugh at the comments because some of them are honestly ridiculous. But underneath all the jokes, there's a lot of stuff that, as we discussed, really matters. It's important. And it was the reason that we're sitting here today. So we already discussed the main reason I'm out here talking about Kingston is to bring awareness to what grief and caregiving, what families need, and what we go through, because most people don't know. And that lack of knowing and that lack of understanding and that lack of education is what makes people not compassionate. And what you need in a moment like Kingston passing, or the 2-year anniversary, which we celebrated last week. Why don't I even say celebrated? Because we're not fucking celebrating that he's gone. We had to remember Kingston, that Kingston passed away 2 years last week. His birthday is in 2 days. He would have been 12. And the reason that we are even doing this and that we're sitting here telling you the story is to bring an awareness to people who don't know. Because what you don't know actually can hurt you. And it hurts us as a whole, as a community, just a group of people trying to function together on this energy dense planet. Before Kingston got sick, I had no idea what it cost to keep a child alive. And when I talk about the costs, I'm not talking about just hospital bills. I'm talking about gas, parking, food when you didn't sleep at home, and childcare for the well kid, the missed work, the nights that we spent sleeping in hospital chairs, all of the energy that you pour into paperwork and fighting with insurance companies, and the thousands of little expenses that just build up quietly while families are just trying to keep their child alive. None of that makes a fun highlight reel. It's the worst thing that you can imagine. I really can't think of anything worse than that experience. So when somebody says, "Stop complaining, stop whining for a GoFundMe, go to therapy, you need to pray," they're missing the point entirely. I'm not out here looking for a stranger to solve my problems. I'm not out here looking for sympathy or solutions from people in my comment section. I'm here because if nobody talks about the actual problem, what cancer is, and what treatment really looks like, people seem to think that you get a diagnosis, you get the treatment, and then everything just goes back to normal. And that's just not the reality. It does not go back to normal. Whether your child survives and is in remission or doesn't, what you think is not real. Your life is permanently changed. It is forever different from the experience that you've been through. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, every single part of you changes on a cellular level. So if sharing it makes one parent feel less alone in their journey, one person who's grieving, regardless of who you might have lost, if I can help one person feel a little less alone, then I've done my job. And I think that Kingston would want that. I know that Kingston would want people to feel less alone. That's literally why we started the foundation, livelikekingston.org. It is literally to fill the gaps where people feel left behind, because Kingston was one of those kids. So that's what we're here to do. So to everyone who leaves the kind comments and shares their own stories and asks questions about Kingston and visits the websites and shows up to the free little library and sends money through GoFundMe and does the things that they can do to support and to let us know that we're not alone. Thank you so much for all of your support. On that note, we're gonna wrap it up, right? Yeah.
We didn't call out the trolls in order to be mean to people or in order to fight back or protect our egos. Really, they were just an example of what not to do. And we wanted to make a couple fun jokes at it just to try to make it a little bit lighthearted. I don't know if we...
I don't think we covered lighthearted at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
I just brought them up because that ignorance and that lack of awareness is exactly the problem that we're trying to close the gap on. If you didn't hate this video, that'd be cool if you let me know in the comments. Otherwise, the loud comments can be loud. We'll find a way to make fun of it later.
and if you're in a bad mood and you feel like commenting something shitty, keep it to yourself.
I mean, there's the saying, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Click, like, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do to make things blow up so that we can continue to bring awareness to both pediatric cancer, the stigma behind grief. Leave your hate comments in the comment section so it gives us something to talk about in about a week or two. And if the internet gives us enough material to use in another episode, we might see you next week.
See you next week.